Hello fellow FPL managers and welcome to a look at Game Week 23 and a review of Game Week 22. So in this video we're going to be looking at the points that I got in Game Week 22, my team for Game Week 23 plus the transfers I've made and why, a look at last week's predictions, and of course a look at this week's up and coming predictions for Game Week 23. And we're going to start off by saying that it was a pretty good game week, but it could have actually been better. If you actually saw the fact that I played my wild card to sort my team out, and it did pay off, because this is the team that I've been looking at having. But there've been just a couple of changes, but I'll explain later on. So I originally did have Etheridge and Bamba, which would have actually secured me, I think it was around 10 points more, because Etheridge scored 10 and I think Bamba got 6. I don't know if he got any bonus points, and obviously Gita and Wan-Bissaka didn't score as well. Wan-Bissaka's bonus points did help me tip me over, but I'm looking at the long run here. The reason what happened and why was I needed a team to sort of rotate with Palace, and Wolves felt more like a good choice than Cardiff. So the day before, on Friday, I swapped it, and I thought instead of having 2 Cardiff players, I'd go long term and think of 2 Wolves players. Hopefully it'll pay off in the long term. So obviously Patricio and Johnny are on the bench. They'll rotate with Palace, whoever, because like I said, fixtures are really important. So I've had a look, and when Palace or Wolves have a difficult fixture, I can kind of switch them out. So Wan-Bissaka got bonus points, Alexander-Arnold got a clean sheet, and Digne got a clean sheet and an assist. Moving on, Richarlison looks terrible here, but he was so unlucky. If you saw the game, Ake, you know, he got it past Begovic, and I can't remember who the second Bournemouth defender is, and then right at the end, Ake just didn't know anything about it, saved it off the line, literally like less than a yard, and it was, you know, a goal for Richarlison, and that would have again improved it, and that was really unlucky. I did end up going with Salah over Hazard, not because of the fact that Hazard's been blanking. Just so many people have backed Salah. Brighton do concede goals, and obviously they didn't just conceding 1. And he's the man of the moment right now, and there's not a lot really that's going to change people's minds. If you've got Salah, probably leave the captaincy on him if you're ever sort of in doubt. Pogba again, I'm going to talk a bit more about Pogba, the fact that is he essential, and I'll come back to that point after I finish the rest of the team. So Sane getting an assist, I believe it was, against Wolves in that 3-0 yesterday, came off after 73 minutes as well, and of course a clean sheet. So it was my strikers. Now I remember in the last video I said, right, here's the plan, no premium strikers, and you're probably looking at this thinking Arnautovic 2, Firmino 2, there you go, no premium strikers. But this week was no premium strikers. Salah was the only person, I believe, over 6 million or 7 million as an attacking player that scored higher than 10 points, that got double figures. You know, Kane didn't. He got 2. Aubameyang as well. So basically, they did score the same as premium players this week. Obviously, time will tell with that one, but we'll come back to those strikers as well later on. And then on the bench, no one had to sub in, which is perfectly fine. So coming on to my team for this week and my points that I'll make about Paul Pogba. And I said in the last video, right, no more minus points. And I had to break the rule in the very first week. But you know that I've had to do this. And unfortunately, I've had to swap Gita, because we don't know how long he's going to be out for, and I needed the money to get Rashford back, because his price, just like Pogba's, is just going to keep going up and up and up. And if you notice, Arnautovic is gone. This is purely nothing to do with my tactics. If Arnautovic didn't have the whole he's probably moving to China thing, he would still be in my side and I wouldn't have taken a -4 hit. But he is that kind of player. Arnautovic is that kind of player that he'll sulk. His form will dip. He won't give it all for the team if he doesn't get what he wants. You know, he kind of, you know, he's got that attitude. There's no questioning the player's ability, but there is questioning his attitude. If he doesn't want to be somewhere, he'll pull that kind of face like he doesn't want to do it. And I'm just thinking that even if he doesn't go now, we could have another Payet situation. But I'm thinking more the fact that he will get his move. They will offer 35-40 million, and West Ham will accept. And if that happens before I made this week's transfer and Rashford goes up even more, because I did have 0.3 million in the bank, I would be stuck. I would be forced to get either Wilson, Jimenez, who, of course, FPL-wise this season, they've been very good. But the fact that Rashford and Manchester United's fixtures and Rashford's form, look at Rashford's form. He's scored 3 in the last 3. We don't know if he got confirmed, but the fact that the idea that he is the chosen striker, but minutes are now proving it. He's scoring against the top side, and Manchester United have a nice set of fixtures that if I didn't get him in now, I was going to miss the boat, and I couldn't afford to miss it with this price range of picking him up for, I think it was 7.4 million, and the fact that you're basically going to have to pay a lot more for someone in his value. It says 7.3, but I believe he's 7.4 as of right now. So going back to Paul Pogba, is he essential right now? Part of me actually feels that he is. Now, being from the north of England, being half Yorkshire, price is really important to me, and value for money. The fact that you've got to look at a player's value just as much as money. So when people, of course, Kane is great, but is he worth that much money? I don't feel that he is. And looking at his price, when I picked him up, he was 7.9. I got him just after the Cardiff game because I had already committed the fact that I wanted Paul Pogba in the side if he was going to play under Solskjaer. And he got picked and he had an absolute blinder. So, and you know I make early transfers because I make early videos. So he was straight in the side. So for that price, casting back at 7.9, he was well worth it. But even now at 8.4, you're going to be... One of the things I said last time is you need to not be stubborn. And for too long, I did it with Sane. I had him at the start of this season, and then he wasn't getting played, and then he was getting good, and I could have swapped him, and I was like, no, I don't trust it. It's not happening. And he went on that amazing run and was one of the top FPL, and he still is one of the top FPL midfielders. And I got over it and I brought him back, but maybe too late. And I'm just feeling like this isn't just a one-time thing now with Manchester United. After the Cardiff game, oh, it was only Cardiff. Huddersfield, oh, it's only Huddersfield. But convincingly, he's getting 13 points. He's getting 15 points. All right, Bournemouth, that should be a good game. Bam, he's got 18 points now. Yeah, he blanked a little bit. He got a clean sheet, but still only 3 points against Newcastle. But then he goes and gets an assist away at Spurs. And I'm just feeling that in the position that he's in now, and he's increased in shot-taking stats, and shots on goal stats, things like that, and his overall rating, and he passes the eye test as well. That for me, 33% now own him. I think he's the second or third most owned midfielder. Let's just have a quick double check of that. Third. He's the third most owned FPL midfielder, and he was absolutely nowhere. He's 8.5 now, but he was nowhere before the Cardiff game, before Mourinho went. And for his price, it just feels like he should be in a side, especially with Son being away, because that would have been the only sort of, for me, the only sort of rival would have been Son, because his form has been absolutely phenomenal. But if you look at the players in his price range from Ali down, and cash your mind back to when he was 7.9 million, there's no one around here that stands up to him. And with the fixtures coming up, you got to look at price. What points are you going to get back from that player at that price? And for me, it's a no-brainer. If you're playing with at least 4 midfielders, I don't understand how you could have 3 other midfielders that are getting you the points for the price that he is getting you right now. So I would definitely have him 100% in my side, and unless you're not playing 4 across the middle, if you're playing only 3 across, and maybe you can afford like Salah, Hazard, Sane, then I can see it. But if you've got 4 in midfield and Pogba's not there, I'm going to be pretty surprised. But that's just me, that's just my opinion. But the fact that I feel that his run of form right now, and again, similar to Arnautovic with the sulkiness, I think Pogba is similar in the fact that he wanted to prove himself, and he's playing like a top player that he's supposed to be. He's being unleashed as like the AMC position. He's getting forward more, he's pinging the ball in, he's getting shots more on target. Just everything about him is a lot better, and the eye test, but the stats are sort of backing that up. So for me, Pogba is leaning towards the essential, and now as well, the fact that 33% of FPL managers own him, it's one of those situations where I likened it to Aaron Ramsey a few years ago, that you kind of think, similar to the way that you think Hazard's just in bad form and he's being a troll, you just see it as this. It's like heads or tails, right? You flick a coin every week, once a week, and it's heads, it's heads, it's heads. And then you think after that it's going to be heads, but it's not. It ends up being tails. And that's what it's kind of like with form. You think that he's going to bang every week, but it's not going to keep it up. He's not going to keep it up. But it's not like that. You've got to take it on a game-by-game basis. So when you just do that and you look at Brighton at home, Pogba's going to play 90 minutes. For that price, he should return. Burnley, Leicester, Fulham. Even Liverpool at home with the tails up at this point, Manchester United, I don't think it's going to be a far-off game. And I'm not expecting returns in that game, but I am expecting something from Pogba in that match as long as he's fit. It's especially, again, with it being at home to Liverpool. And, you know, the United fans are going to be behind that, trying to stop Liverpool winning the title. So that is going to be, and he's a big game player. He's a World Cup winner. You've seen like the talk he gave to the French team for the World Cup final. He loves that big game, and for me, he's someone again to back in that situation. So for me, it's Paul Pogba essential. He is now, as of this moment, for me, essential. So that was my bit on Paul Pogba. I'm just going to go back now to my starting 11. So Patricio would have swapped with Guita anyway because they're away to Liverpool, Crystal Palace, so that's something that I definitely would have avoided. So Johnny and Patricio come in as that Wolves pairing, swapping out for the Palace pair. Alexander-Arnold at home to Palace and Digne to Southampton. Again, it's looking promising. This is why I use a wild card, because now we're into the second half of the season. I looked at who's got good fixtures and bad ones, who can I rotate, and these sort of set players seems to be a pretty good fit. So Richarlison's also off to Southampton. You've got Hazard at Arsenal, which is obviously going to be the probably toughest fixture of all my players out there. Pogba at home to Brighton. Again, I'm looking for him there, but I've got to give the captaincy here to Salah. Man on form. Palace as well, with Hennessy and Guita both out. It looks like Speroni's going to be in goal. So it was tough as it was anyway, with the best attacking side right now in the Premier League, and the fact that it's going to be Speroni. No disrespect to Speroni, but it's not going to be a clean sheet, I don't think, for Crystal Palace. And then you got Sane away at Huddersfield. People just completely disregarded Manchester City after 2 stutters. Before that, everyone was saying they were walking the league. Liverpool were going to be second, and then they had a blip over the Christmas period, and suddenly everyone was like, get rid of Sterling, get rid of Sane, get rid of Aguero. Got injured, so I understand that. And I kept hold of him, and he's basically returned for me. He scored at Liverpool. He assisted against Wolves. So I'm going to be sticking with Sane. Like I said, I'm pretty happy with this side. So as you can see, Rashford and Firmino up front. So what happened is I had to bring Button in for 4 million to save 0.2, and then that gave me an Arnautovic to Rashford swap. So I've had to take a -4 hit, but I did explain I don't think Arnautovic is going to be there at the end of the transfer window, and I didn't want to miss out on Rashford. And I even think apparently, again, it's all gossip, but he could be gone by the end of the week. And if he is, everyone's going to be selling him. His price is going to go down. Going to miss out on Rashford because everyone will be buying Rashford. So I had to take a -4 hit. I've got Button, who sometimes he's going to be playing until Ryan is back from the Asian Cup. But even if he's not, I'll just have to stick with Patricio in goal because, again, Wolves have got good fixtures. I don't mind him in between the sticks. And then when it comes to game week 30, I'll swap him with another 4.5 million goalkeeper for the few games. Because you can see difficult, difficult, easy, difficult. So I'm going to be swapping him in game week 30. So I'm back to basically having one goalkeeper like most people do anyway. I just would have liked that option. That's why I kind of tweaked players around, and I had a Palace keeper and a Wolves keeper, but unfortunately that's the way it is, and I needed that extra. I was 0.1 million short of Rashford. And that's a shame because I did put Arnautovic in for Rashford. Of course, Arnautovic got that 2-goal haul anyway a couple of weeks ago, but unfortunately that is what happened to me. So this is my side for the week. Again, I'm pretty okay with it. I think fixture-wise, the only one I've got to look out for the future is going to be Kamara, and he might have to go as a third sub because there's rumours that he's going to be leaving the club as well. But that's okay because the 2 defenders that I do have on my bench at any one time are 90-minute defenders. So it doesn't matter if a striker or midfielder comes off, I'll just go 4 at the back, which I'm, again, more than comfortable with for the money that I'm saving. So that's going to be that for my team. So looking at last week's predictions, first of all, let's talk about the main players that I chose for that week. So Christian Eriksen got a big tick because he was a player to avoid against United. People keep pushing Eriksen, and I don't know why. I know obviously Kane's great, and I think it was last year that Ali was amazing, and Son this year has been on good run and form. But I just feel like Spurs have got a history of bottling it, basically, and I just don't feel comfortable for the price that they are to sort of back a Spurs player over the other ones. But there you go, he blanked against Manchester United. Hazard has a maybe line, a so-so, because he got an assist at the end of the day, but it's one of those situations again where at home to Newcastle, he was heavily captained. I think a lot of people are going to be expecting more than an assist, a goal at least, or maybe even 2 assists. And then finally, Etheridge, 10 points, amazing week. And he was my goalkeeper until the last minute. I swapped the Cardiff pair for the Wolves pair, so he was a good pick. And people keep saying that he's not as good as his numbers because he keeps saving penalties, but you know, he got the points for saves this time. So for his price earlier, yeah, maybe you want to go with Fabianski, but that's fine. But Fabianski gets off saves, he doesn't get it off clean sheets. So for me, for his price at that time, Etheridge was fine. And like I said, if find some teams that have nice fixtures that complement each other. So when I said Palace and Wolves, so Wolves they've got a difficult game. Palace, it's okay. Palace, difficult game. Or Wolves are okay. So that's what I would suggest for goalkeepers if you are on a rotation. And Palace and Cardiff and Wolves are pretty similar in that regard. I'll look at my sort of lesser choices, the ones that I sort of just wanted to talk about extra. Players to avoid: Rashford, I was wrong. Happy to admit that. He did get a goal at Spurs. And I didn't choose him because I don't think he was going to get a goal. It was because Lukaku is fully back now, and I didn't really believe the rumours of, you know, Rashford being told you are my number one despite his form. Perfectly happy to admit I'm wrong. Perfectly happy to slide him into my team. So as long as he keeps his form up, excellent. And Wilson didn't recover in time, and he's not fit. And I called it weeks and weeks ago that he was a great first half of the season FPL player. If he goes to Chelsea, he'll probably be in for Rashford. But Bournemouth's fixtures took a really difficult turn, and he's not being able to return or even be fit at this time. Player to pick: Salah, of course. Got the penalty, got the goal, got the haul. Vardy was a no. Pretty disappointing. I couldn't believe at home Southampton, who didn't have a strike. They had Shane Long, right? And they had the other 2 out, and they sold Gabbiadini as well. And Leicester just couldn't make a pay. And they had 10 men. So that's a real shocker. That I think they were probably the most disappointing team of the weekend. The fact that they could lose to Southampton in that situation. And then finally, Gudmundsson didn't play. He did pick up an injury. And Wan-Bissaka, again, I put a so-so line because they conceded 2 goals, they lost the game, but he got the bonus points of 4. So it's better than normal, better than everyone else just appearing, but it's still only 4 points. It wasn't like a 6 or an 8 or a 10. So that was last week's prediction. So having a look at game week 23 predictions, and you can see here, going to start with players to avoid. Going to start with Alonso. He was in my side for the whole season. At the start of the season, I thought, right, I want a premium defender. And he did all right for me for maybe the first 10 game weeks. He's done sod all for the last 10 game weeks. The occasional clean sheet, but it's going to come back to haunt me. But the fact that I sold him about, was it 3 game weeks ago? I've more than not missed that price that I actually sold him for. Made a little bit of a profit, but his price is going down a little bit, and I don't expect an easy game against someone like Aubameyang, and it's away from home. As for Kane, I'm putting him in as a player to avoid because we all know recently he's got his injury, and you're looking at paper, they're away at Fulham. But the thing for me, obviously, is he's got that ankle injury, and if there is ever a time to rest him and give him a week off, then now would be that time, because he's got an ankle ligament injury. Is difficult because it's one of them where if he twists it again, it'll just swell even more. He really needs to rest it, and I don't think they're going to risk him. If it would have been the United game next week, or a City game or Liverpool game, something difficult like that, then I think they would have maybe tried to do injections and get him through the game. But I think Fulham, despite Tottenham's other injuries, I think that this would be a game that they're not going to risk him, especially with the Champions League and Cup games and league games still left to go for this season. And then finally, of course, Wan-Bissaka. He's in so many teams. He's been amazing. He's been wonderful. Don't play him this weekend. Like I said earlier, Speroni looks like he's going to be starting in goal. No 100% concrete proof on that yet, but you know, with just a couple of left to go, but nevertheless, they're away at Liverpool. So if he is in your side and you've forgotten about it and you've not picked your team yet, remember, maybe slide him out for that other defender that you've got. And then player to pick, I'm going to have to go with Paul Pogba. It is a little bit of a Pog love fest today, but at home to Brighton, great form. So for me, Paul Pogba is player to pick. Salah as well, home to Palace. It was close. The reason why I've gone for Pogba over Salah again is because of value. You're gonna, you know, if Salah's like 13.5 million, you expect high returns, and he is giving that. But the fact that Pogba's giving just as much as a 13.5 million player right now goes to show that he should be the #1 pick this week. And I've left Sane in there. They're away at Huddersfield, and everyone always says, if you've got a City attacking player and they play, you expect something. And being away at Huddersfield, and David Wagner's just left for mutual consent. With a coach stepping up, I don't feel it's going to be that good luck fortune. You know, if there's a time to leave, it's definitely before a game against Manchester City. And after that blip over Christmas, they come back over destroying teams in cup games and doing well in the league. That, again, if Sane plays, I would more than back him to get at least an assist in that match away to Huddersfield. So play to risk, you can say I put Lamela. I mentioned Spurs' injury issues earlier. I could have even put Sissoko here, but I think even he is a doubt. You got Moura, who's a doubt, Kane, who's a doubt, Son, who's away, and I just think for his price, Lamela is someone who you could take a risk on. He could be a differential of the week. They're away to Fulham, so you're expecting them to concede, and I'm thinking Lamela's going to play. If everyone else is carrying knocks or doubts or injuries, I would expect him to be somewhere up front. Some people have said Llorente might start the game instead of Kane as a straight swap. Some people thought Moura would start up there, but I think that's more of a difficult conversation than just having, okay, Lamela is going to be one of them. So I would maybe take a risk on Lamela. I am thinking he's going to be playing in that game. And then play to risk Rondon, a wonderful player. When I brought him in all that time ago for Ings, people said it was a mistake. This was when Ings had issues and Newcastle had that good fixture, and I went, no, I'm going to trust Rondon. And he was getting, you know, I think he got about 3 goals in 5 games or something. He did really well for me. And Newcastle are getting into a nice run of fixtures. Are at home this week to Cardiff in probably it's a must-win game, especially for both teams. So I'm going to back Rondon to try and get a little bit of damage. Again, he's a cheap striker. It could be a differential for you there this week. And then Pereira playing against Burnley. He has had a pretty good season. He's been quiet for the last few weeks, so his price is around the same. So I'm going to think as my third place risk, my outside risk would be Pereira, because Burnley are still conceding quite a lot of goals. So they're my predictions for this week, and talked about last week, game week 22, game week 23, and a bit of a look at a bit more of in-depth discussion about Paul Pogba. So let me know in the comments below, do you think Paul Pogba is essential right now for his price and his points return? Do you see him slowing down, in fact, you know, getting even better? I'm just thinking that right now he's kind of in that box-to-box advanced Ramsey role. It's just, I'm just seeing that right now, and flashbacks of having that on my side, and kind of similar as also Yaya Toure a few years ago when I had him in my midfield. So that's my opinion on Pogba. Is he essential to you? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like the video, please leave a thumbs up. If not, leave a thumbs down and let me know in the comments below why you think that. I'm feeling more like this sort of setup is more free as well. A lot of the time when I used to do the animations, it was kind of just definitely scripted. I can go back to doing that kind of version, but with this one, it feels like I get some stats and I get my information and my thoughts, and then I just kind of discuss it with you guys. If you prefer that, then let me know in the comments below. So thank you again for your support. I hope you have a great week. Good luck this weekend, and as always, have a good one.